What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna have a look at Spider-Man Remastered at 1440p. Now, admittedly, I already did this video once before, but I got into editing and realized I think OBS recorded 1440p as 1080p because it only got like a weird bit of the screen. I started noticing I didn't have hell, and I couldn't see any of my bars. Where I really noticed is when I went to go decode one of those little radio tower signals like in Batman, and I couldn't even see it. I saw like 3/4 of the little lines was supposed to add up, and I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Let's go redo that, because that is not acceptable. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to be lazy and just go, that's good enough, people will know how it plays, but no, I decided, fuck that. We're redoing the whole video for you guys, because I want it to be done correctly. So, with that said, let's hop in and have a look at some settings.
Alright, let's start off our gameplay by looking at the display screen here. We're going to do 1440p here. We're going to do native refresh rate, no VSync. Brightness and all that stuff's irrelevant, so let's just skip that. No upscaling yet, we'll do that later. No dynamic resolution at all, and we're just going to leave this alone. So, now let's go look at the actual graphics settings. Well, alright, let's have a quick look at the low settings really fast before we jump in and get some actual gameplay. And I had to redo this twice now. Well, not the whole video, but I had to redo the whole video once, and then when I started redoing it, then I noticed that I left ray tracing on. So I had to go back and do very low and low, so it wasn't that bad, and I didn't have to redo any voiceovers or anything. But anyway, we're back to the top, so let's get back into the game. Well, let's get into the game. Alright, we are in game now. Very low. Now, I should say I'm using OBS now, so for a little while I've got to warn you guys that it's going to look like I'm getting way less FPS than I usually do. But that's just because it's using way higher bitrate than Windows recording uses. But I just got tired of Windows recording for no reason. Just being like, hey, no, I'm just not going to record. I'm sorry. That just got really annoying. So it's like, well, I have to have an alternative game plan. I can't just always oh, well, let's just do screen recording, because that just makes the video look like way lower quality. So I'm even going to redo some that I did, like Doom, for example. Doom Eternal was one of those ones that did that to me. So I'm going to go back and redo that one, I think.
Attention units, we've got a 10-10 possible narcotic sale. Officers needed to assist trapped civilians following a car crash. Report came in from Seaport.
Back into the sky we go.
Attention units, we've got a 10-10 possible narcotic sale. Officers needed at Tribeca. Please copy.
But alright, let's land here. And let's move on. Well, alright guys, why don't we get ourselves a little camera recorded gameplay on very low now?
More surveillance towers around I can use to expand my range.
Oh, there are. We're just busy right now, man. This is the second time I've had to redo everything because I realized ray tracing was on. Luckily, I only got done with very low and low. So I just deleted everything and started over again because, like I said, I want this video to be good for you guys. So I do not mind. I'll restart it 1,000 fucking times if I have to get it right.
And alright, let's move on.
We're gonna move on to some low graphic preset now, so let's just have a very quick look. And then we'll hop back into the game. Now I can actually say back into the game. At the beginning of the video, there was no back to the game. We hadn't started the game yet. There's no back to the game to go to. At least I corrected myself real quick at the end, but still. Alright, we're at the top, so let's get into that game. Well, now let's get some low gameplay in. Let's just start swinging around, as that seems to be like one of the best ways to test for this kind of thing. So just keep in mind, it's gonna look a little slower than what I normally get, but just make sure you watch at least a couple seconds of the camera recorded. That way you can see kind of more true FPS. The only time it doesn't seem to matter a super whole lot is when we're doing ray tracing. But at least it goes from being like 14 FPS up to like 20s,
All
maybe
units,
30s.
civilians are trapped in their vehicles following a severe accident. Incident is
But
ongoing
we'll see
near
that when
Union
we get
Square.
there.
Please copy. We've got an armed robbery in progress.
An armed
Incident
robbery?
is
Well,
ongoing
I don't
near
got
Union
time for
Square.
that.
Please copy.
I'm too busy swinging around. Oh shit, that didn't go the way I wanted. Well, let's run up this building like a G. See, Batman can't do that. He may be able to batarang, but he sure can't run up a side of a fucking building. But anyway, let's move on.
Alright guys, let's get ourselves in some low camera recorded gameplay. So that way you guys can see the true FPS and all that good stuff. But I will say, OBS definitely looks really good. Although I did notice something interesting when you get to the FSR part. I'll have to pay closer attention, but I noticed like it makes during recordings Spider-Man himself had lots of aliasing around him. It was very strange. I only noticed it when I was looking in the video, when I was doing the video editing part, and then I was like, man, that's weird. I don't remember seeing that, but I wasn't really paying the closest attention. Most of the time I'm paying attention to just time, how long the timer is going. Because otherwise, if I go for too long, it'll be a freaking hour-long video. And these are already around 40 minutes long, so we don't need to make it an hour. Most people don't have the patience to sit through an hour-long video, and I don't blame them. That's a lot of time. But that's why I've got timestamps, so you can quickly jump around to get the information you want. If anybody actually enjoys watching it from start to finish, well, hell, I'm glad. But I feel like most people probably just come, see the part they want to see, and then go on, and that's okay. It's exactly why I made these videos. So people know how the game plays, and whether or not it's a good buy for this laptop or not. And I would have to say at 1080p and 1440p so far, fuck yeah it is. Just not for ray tracing. Just as usual, I'll tell you right now, ray tracing kind of sucks in this game on AMD. I haven't played it on my main computer, but I'm pretty sure it's heavy there too. Don't know if I'll be able to even get 4K and 60 without the help of DLSS, in which case it's not 4K anymore. But I mean, that's how the consoles achieve all this shit anyway. They don't usually use real 4K either. They use checkerboarding, which isn't even as good as DLSS. And then a lot of times they'll use dynamic resolution to either hit a resolution target or an FPS target, depending on what you prefer, or what the game people prefer. But I think that's more than enough footage, so let's just go ahead and move on.
Time for some medium gameplay now, so let's just quickly get a gander at all of these settings. Because the quicker we do this, the quicker we'll get back to the actual gameplay. Heck, wow, you can see all the, like, stutter that this induces. And that is why I tell you to watch the camera gameplay too. But now let's get into the game. Alright, medium gameplay now, so why don't we just run around a little?
Additional officers needed in Times Square. Over.
And yet again, FPS will be affected by OBS. Even my old Windows recording would take a little FPS out of your game, but not quite as much as this, but that's because it wasn't running at nearly the bitrate, so the video didn't look nearly as crisp. Though I will say it probably wasn't quite as stuttery either. But that's why I tell you guys to watch the camera gameplay as well. Because if you don't, then you'll think, oh, this game's a stuttery piece of crap. But if you look at the actual camera recorded stuff, it's not bad at all. It's actually very smooth. Well, until we turn ray tracing on, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Available units got another assault in progress. Officers needed on scene in Clinton.
It's very fun just going around the city, though. I mean, I could literally probably do this just for hours on end.
1072,
Not even actually play the game, just web swing around the city. I mean, shit, GTA, half my time is spent with just driving around blowing shit up and shooting cops, so. Alright, let's move on. Alright, guys, medium gameplay now with the camera, so we can get some footage here. For a second, I thought he wasn't going to be able to use his web. I was like hitting the button. I thought he was just going to face plant into the cement there for a second. Way more smooth when we're not recording, obviously.
Possible narcotics sale reported. Nearest unit, please respond. Available officers, please proceed to Koreatown.
Alright. So much fun, though. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this game. But I'm totally addicted to Elden Ring and Ni no Kuni right now. I've been playing those two the most. So I need to add this to the gameplay circle. I think I can handle juggling 3 games I really like to play at once. Any more than that, though, and I start usually neglecting one for the other and whatnot, and then get like way into one and be like, alright, well, I'm just gonna solely play that one game now. That's usually what happens. Alright, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next graphics setting?
Well, now let's do some high preset. But first, let's look over the settings. We still got ray tracing turned off, as we'll do that and FSR towards the end. And there we go. Now we can get back into the game. Well, now we're on high, so let's jump around and swing around and see what kind of FPS we get now. Keep in mind, OBS uses more FPS than Windows does in its recording, but I think it looks a lot better, besides the small amount of stutter it adds.
All units,
But it
narcotics
sure
sale
looks
reported
good.
in progress. Proceed to 2 bridges.
Maybe that's what I should do. Go do I could do a test and see which one you like better between this and media, or just Windows. But the main reason I started using this was mostly not just because I didn't like using Windows. I liked the ease of just hitting Windows key R and, you know, having it start recording. But when it would just not work, I didn't want to just be like, well, I guess I can't do screen recording. Let's all do camera. So it's good to have something like this. But then I figured, man, this looks so good. And it's so crisp, so why not just start using this all the time? But my noobishness of OBS made me have to redo this a couple of times, so I'm still learning. And heck, maybe I should just like tone down the bitrate a little on it, and maybe it wouldn't be so stuttery, I don't know. Somebody with more OBS experience than me can let me know. That would be great, because then I can deliver even better videos. I'm trying here. At least you guys can tell I'm trying to give you better videos here. Got a better mic, trying to make the screen recording part clearer and better for you.
Near Trinity.
I still have to learn how to do like bar graphs and like side-by-side videos and whatnot too at some point. I'm sure people would like to see stuff like that. But we made it to top of this building, so why don't we go ahead and move on?
Well, alright guys, let's get some high camera recorded gameplay in. And take in this view. Look at this view up here. Anyway, let's jump off this building now.
All units, narcotic sale reported in progress. Incident is active in Park City. Over.
Yep, that would be extremely fun being able to do that, knowing you can just be like, oh, web. Normally you're like, oh, I'm gonna jump, oh, dead.
All units, narcotic sale reported in progress. Local officers, please converge on Civic Center.
And you know what? I don't even really mind. I'm not even that mad right now that I have to redo this thing twice. Honestly, what seems to irritate me most is just not being able to like do something in a video game. I'm sure you guys have seen little snippets of me just kind of getting really angry at a game. Be like, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's impossible. Ah. And then it's just like, oh wait, I tried like 2 more times and then did it. Like, just keep trying until you do it. Practice till you do it. Giving up and saying, oh, I can't do it is basically letting the game fucking win. So, fuck that. I ain't letting that happen. Alright, this looks like a good place to land, so why don't we go ahead and move on to the next graphics setting.
Now, it's time for very high graphics settings. So let's just cruise on through. Because the quicker we cruise on through this, the quicker we can get back into the game. Man, his things around his hands almost look like bones. Alright, we're back to the top, so let's get back to the game. Well, alright. Let's get ourselves some very high gameplay now. Here we go, that's the first time I've seen it drop under 60, but that's while we're recording. We'll have to wait and see if it does that when I'm not recording. But it was down to 56, so it's not like it was, oh my god, this is unplayable, throw it in the trash. There's probably a setting or two that you can change just to like get way more FPS without the game looking worse. I'm just sitting here doing all the presets. That's why PCs are great. If you want to get the right looks and frame rate, you can sit there and fiddle with the settings until you get it the way you want it. Unless your computer's just straight up not powerful enough. That's the only time things get in the way.
1034, assault currently in progress. Officers
And this is a
needed
pretty
in
beastly game to run, so even 1440p probably can't run this maxed out, but as most people will tell you, running like ultra settings and running the game completely maxed out is kind of silly anyway. Unless you can get away with it when you have a 3090, but you guys saw in that one video, I don't run ray tracing at 4K even though my 3090 is a beast, it couldn't give me 60 FPS while I was playing, so it wasn't good enough. So I was like, no ray tracing then. I'm not running performance DLSS, you know? I made it look like crap and defeats the whole purpose of everything I was trying to accomplish, so. It is what it is, though. I still think the game looks great without ray tracing at native 4K.
10-10, need officer to respond to
Anyway,
reported drug
let's
deal.
move on.
Alright guys, we're on very high now. So let's just go get ourselves a little more gameplay in. And we still have plenty to do. But yep, we're dropping under 60 a little while we're recording here, but I'm actually impressed with how many FPS it can still keep. I pretty much have OBS on some pretty nuts quality, trying to like make the gameplay almost indistinguishable from the game to the video. As much as possible, anyway. YouTube is always going to fuck with it a little, but that's the other reason I do this. If I make the bitrate and all that shit super high, it kind of prepares for how much YouTube kind of softens things up. I know that's not the technical term, but they have way less bitrate once it's on YouTube. I would say it goes from my 100 maybe down to like 40 or 50,
probably. And it seems like if I do one at 40 or 50 like I was before, it drops it down to looking like it's 20 or 30 per bit rate. And that just doesn't look very good. But this looks great. But alright, let's run to the top of this guy. And now let's move on. Now we're going to max the game out, except for ray tracing anyway. Just to see how it plays. Probably won't be that different, but there was a couple things to throw up to very high anyway. And damn, that frame time is going nuts when I'm recording. At least now. The higher settings and the harder it is to run, the more stutter it seems to induce. But anyway, let's move on. Well, alright, let's get some max gameplay in now. And then after that, we'll move into some ray tracing and FSR. I can tell I'm gonna have fun with this game. But I also decided to see what it plays like on my secondary computer and main computer before I actually just start playing the thing. And that's all good. I'll just do that tomorrow because tonight is going to be all about editing.
10-10, possible
The videos
narcotic
I've
cell
already got
reported.
of the
Mobilize on
Asus.
Garvey Park.
Because that is the priority after all. Though I did sneak a quick Steam Deck in there because I figured people would be interested about that, and that one's an easy one to do. I can't screen record on that one.
Calling all units. Armed robbery
Yuri,
in progress.
I'm looking at a Fisk site where there's a lot of people, but not much work
Oh,
getting
might
done.
as well go and do that.
that
That
you
sounds
can
like
see.
fun.
They're keeping it under wraps.
I'll turn over some rocks.
Oh. Let's go up and sneak in. Maybe we can at least take one out before.
Nap time.
Alright, well, there's that guy. Oh crap, I think I jumped the wrong spot. Yeah, I jumped right for him. I was trying to knock him out, but that did not work. Cool, he didn't shoot me, so that's all that matters. Yeah, he kind of did. He just blew himself up. That was kind of stupid, wasn't it?
Show me what you got.
Dodge that. Alright, let's go up here real quick. And now let's move on. Alright guys, we're maxed out. I decided to go up here real quick. So I could just beat these guys up real quick. Alright, good job blowing up your own people. Oh, good job. You blew up your own buddy. I didn't blow him up enough. Aw, man. Here we go. I just wanted to take care of him. Those guys are kind of annoying. Alright, let's go take care of this guy. Come on up there.
Spider-Man, my sources say they're running exotic weapons out of that location. Explosives, rocket launchers.
Fisk does manage to get stuff we don't see outside the military.
That needs to stay off the streets by any means necessary.
Oh, he hit me.
Reinforcements! You know there's different types of reinforcing. You could just say great job a lot. More of them! It's kind of touching how badly you guys want to join your boss in jail. That's coming in.
Alright, let's move on.
Well, alright, now we're gonna turn on some ray tracing. So, we're leaving the game completely maxed out beyond that though, but still gonna show you all the settings real quick just so you know. And there we go. Let's see how it plays, which is probably not going to be good.
You're
Well,
close enough to Santa
alright.
Claus for
We're going to
me.
get a little ray
Thanks.
tracing gameplay in now, but as you guys can see, it is not good. So we're only going to get like a minute or so of this, because I cannot stand this terrible FPS very much. It's pretty awful. Yeah, I don't know anybody alive who can play like this. I can't stand the crazy fast movements without getting quite laggy. But alright, I'd say that is more than good enough, so let's go ahead and move on now.
Alright guys, let's get some camera ray tracing, and it's pretty freaking laggy. It was pretty unplayable while recording, and it's still just as unplayable when we're not recording. So we'll only get like a minute or so of this, because this is horrible. Then we'll try some FSR, but I don't really think it's going to be a miracle worker. I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to 60, but my hope is we can get like a solid 30 or 40 for the people that want to play with ray tracing on. You're just going to have to deal with lower than probably preferred FPS. But such is the life of AMD and ray tracing after all. Alright, let's land right here. And now, let's try some FSR out.
Well, alright, now we're going to do some FSR, and we're going to start off on quality. And this is FSR 2.0 as well, so it's a little better than normal old school 1.0 FSR, I would say. And then besides that, let's just look at the rest of the settings. We're going to leave ray tracing on and all that good stuff. And besides that, the rest of the game is maxed out. And there we go. So now let's get back into the game. Well, alright. Starting off our FSR gameplay here. We're still not getting great frames, so I'm going to keep this short, about a minute or so. But let's just swing around. Oh, and I noticed it's not
Witness reports
OBS
of mugging
making
is in progress.
so I can see the aliasing
Available
around him,
officers
because
will
I
not
could see
north.
that while he was going around. That is one of the problems with FSR. I'm wondering if DLSS does that as well. If so, I'm not going to want to turn that on, because that would be distracting. The rest of the game looks
I'll be a
pretty
lot
good,
more
but every time
effective
he
if I
like
can
does some
find more
flips and
towers to
whatnot and starts
activate.
moving, it just looks horrible. Yeah. Alright, well it looks like
Available units
that's about to
and
stop
assault
at
is
the train
reported.
station, so let's just run on up
Location
here.
is East Harlem.
And there we go. Let's move on.
Alright guys, let's get ourselves some camera FSR gameplay here. We're starting off on FSR quality. So it still looks pretty good, and yeah, I do not see the weird effect around him from this angle. I wonder if it'll show up during recording this time. But when I was looking through my video editing, I noticed there, like, once I turned FSR on, there was like a bunch of aliasing around Spider-Man. And I was like, well, what the fuck? That's kind of stupid. Everything else looked good. But I wonder how it'll do this time. Maybe that was because it was such a weird resolution. I think it was trying to do, like, over 1080p or something like that, because it just was just half the screen. It's a really weird thing to behold. I'm honestly surprised I couldn't tell something was fucked up at the beginning of my editing.
I should have been able to tell, hey, I can't even see all of Spider-Man. What's the deal? There's no X or anything, no buttons telling you what to do at the bottom. Red flag, everybody, you know? But I didn't. I was too into just editing and whatnot, and got about halfway through before I realized, hey, this is fucked up. I have to redo this. So here I am redoing it. But not gonna let that get me down. I'm not even really mad about it or nothing, to be honest with you. But now, let's move on to the next FSR setting. Well, alright. Now let's get some FSR balanced gameplay in.
Attention units, 1034. Repeat, assault reported. Report came in from Lenox Hill.
Yep, so I am not a fan of FSR because of that aliasing around him. I didn't really notice that at 1080p. I think I was sitting too far away. I didn't really pay that close of attention during editing, I guess. But that is definitely bizarre. The stuttering and whatnot is just because we're recording, but yeah. It's not just there. The aliasing is not just because of the recording, though. It definitely does that in-game, too. It'll be hard to see, but you can try to keep an eye out for it once we get over to the camera section. But that's a shame. Oh well, it was doing really good before we turned on ray tracing anyway, so you probably just not need FSR, really.
10-10.
Unless you're on a really
Possible
low-end
narcotic
thing.
cell
Anyway,
reported.
let's move on. Well, alright, time for some balanced FSR now, so let's just fly around the city a little more. Well, I guess more swing around the city to be more exact, but that must be Central Park. So we still can't hit 60, but we're in the 30s to 40s. Balanced. FSR. Anything more than this, though, in the game usually starts looking pretty bad, but I can already actually see some aliasing around him now while we're swinging around. Didn't really see it on quality, but now I'm starting to see it. And I mean, you are kind of staring at Spider-Man the whole time, so I probably wouldn't enjoy that, but we're still gonna just do all the FSR settings anyway, because we're being thorough.
Someone's getting robbed.
Who's being robbed? Oh no, you've got pipes. And there we go.
And no more nuggets. I love a happy ending.
And there we go. Now let's move on. Well, alright. Now it's time for FSR performance. So let's just run around and get a little bit of gameplay here too. Okay, can't quite do that. There we go.
We've got a 10-10, possible narcotics sale. Requesting officers on scene in Bloomingdale.
Our narcotic sale, you say? Alright, well, let's just swing around then. I'm not getting the right amount of FPS really to be beating up on people.
Over here.
And alright, I'd say it's a good time to move on. Now it's time for some FSR performance camera gameplay here. Still can't hit 60 all the time with ray tracing and all that, but if you just wanted some extra FPS, you could probably turn FSR on and put it on quality and turn ray tracing off and get some pretty damn good FPS. Because we were already getting really good FPS beforehand. Ray tracing just kind of killed it all.
Don't want to miss May's party.
Well, dude, with how much I've been swinging around here, we would have missed that party like 50 times over by now, man. I'm too busy swinging around getting gameplay footage. Through the birds. Alright. And with that, let's move on to the last FSR setting. Well, last up, we have FSR on Ultra Performance, which is just pretty much Ultra Shit mode, as far as I'm concerned. Because we don't get good FPS, and now the game looks like garbage. And that's because of the well, not, I was going to say,
We've got a 10-10 narcotics
FSR's fault,
progress.
really, but
Need a local
it's
unit
mostly
on
just
scene.
because we have ray tracing on, I have a
Officers needed
feeling.
on scene in Clinton.
So this resolution probably drops so far that, yeah, look at that CPU usage. Because now CPU's got to work way harder when the resolution's this low. That's why usually people say you don't have to worry about bottlenecking unless you're at like 1080p. Nowadays, though, with some of these more powerful cards, it's 1440p as well. But because improve it, we want all the way up to 80% utilization on an 8-core 16-thread CPU. That I am pretty sure is faster than like a desktop 3700X of last gen. It's not quite as fast, obviously, as desktop processors of the 5000
local
series,
units.
because it's laptop,
Break-in is
just like its
reportedly in
GPU,
progress.
it's limited by
Reported
TDP.
location is Murray Hill.
But alright, let's move on. Well, alright guys, we're on FSR Ultra Performance now, and it pretty much looks ultra shitty poo poo fuckzilla cakes. To be pretty precise. But I'll power through it and get you guys some footage anyway, and look at this, we're still not anywhere near 60. So, in this particular game, no reason to subject yourself to this terrible lookingness. Because ray tracing's on and everything. If you just turned ray tracing off, we wouldn't even need this setting.
Civilians need help at the scene of a car accident. Converge on Grand Central. Over.
Alright, let's climb to the top of this guy. And alright, let's go wrap this video on up.
Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for Spider-Man Remastered at 1440p, and I don't think I fucked anything up this time, so I think now I really can move on to ultra-wide and 4K, and did the Steam Deck already. So, just gotta go do 2 more resolutions, and then we're done with Spider-Man Remastered, and then I can just start playing it and having some fun with it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace out guys!